Hello, my name is Clare Balding. I'm an author and broadcaster. This summer I would have been covering the Olympics and Paralympics in Tokyo, but obviously because of COVID-19 that's all been pushed back a year, and let's hope that things improve. But obviously there are, severe difficulties being lived through everywhere in the world, and I particularly wanted to do this to help the Hands Up Foundation because of the help that they're offering vulnerable people in Syria. And also I love the idea of this lockdown or self-isolation period giving us more time to escape to other worlds. And I think we can do that through stories. I think stories are a really powerful way of experiencing somebody else's life, somebody else's reality, or indeed someone else's science fiction, who knows. I have chosen to read something that I've written, mainly for copyright reasons, but I wrote a book about walking, and gosh, what a valuable thing it has been to be allowed to walk just for an hour every day. And I've really enjoyed watching families walking together, households walking hand in hand, people being able to talk to each other. I think you connect in a very different way when you're walking, and you maybe can discuss things that are bothering you, which would be plenty right now, I suspect. But you can also just enjoy the beautiful weather, the changing seasons, the landscape around us, and it's something that I will be so keen to get back to when the restrictions are lifted somewhat, because it's lovely walking in my area of London, but I would dearly love to get back to Devon or Cornwall or the Scottish Highlands or Yorkshire and many of the other great places that I've walked, because I've presented a walking programme on Radio 4 for 20 years called Rambles. And I wanted to read to you a section about a group that I walked with in Wiltshire. And they were a group called Forget Me Not, and they had, hopefully this will explain it, but this is from the book I wrote called Walking Home. The chapter is called The Walking Cure. Drug companies are never going to advocate walking as a medicine. There's no money in it for them. But there is emerging evidence that walking can help slow down the development of Alzheimer's and early onset dementia. I met a group near Swindon called Forget Me Not, who firmly believe that to be the case. We were crowded into the living room of a house in a cul-de-sac. I wouldn't be able to find it again if I tried, because Swindon manages to hide houses in a way that only Basingstoke or Milton Keynes can rival. The buzz of chatter in the room was fueled by cups of tea and biscuits. We were discussing where we might walk that day, and the decision was not to be rushed. Forget Me Not is run by Linda Hughes, an occupational therapist who focuses on fitness, stimulation and independence. Members of the group have the responsibility of choosing where they will walk, providing the maps and helping make lunch. Linda makes sure there is no pressure of time. So even after an hour of discussion, debate and looking at maps, she never once said, "Have we decided yet?" or "Let's get going, shall we?" After an hour or so, we piled into a minibus and headed off to our starting point. They had decided on a route near Wanborough, to the east of Swindon, on the north side of the M4. Everyone had knapsacks stuffed with food and drink, maps and waterproof clothes. The windows steamed up as soon as we closed the doors, and I started drawing love hearts in the mist. I can't help it, it's something about being in a minibus. When we arrived at our start point, we piled out like children on a school trip. It felt exciting and new. People around me were smiling and laughing. They looked relaxed, but eager to venture forth. Linda believes that more and more of us will develop dementia, and that we need to learn to live with it. If people can feel more relaxed about it, can feel as if it's not the end of the world, then that goes a long way, she explained. The early diagnosis is important because you want to understand what you've got, otherwise you live in fear of it. There are thousands of people living entirely normal lives with just a few changes for years and years and years with Alzheimer's or early onset dementia. The media only shows you the end stages, which are scary, but your life can be quite manageable with it. The Forget Me Not group is made up of about 10 people, all of whom have an early diagnosis of onset of memory problems. They were all under 65, and no one person was in charge, so they were all encouraged to take responsibility. They walk once a week, whatever the weather. In fact, the more inclement it is, the more of an adventure they have, and the more everyone remembers it. We headed off down a track towards a farm about a mile away. Linda didn't lead the walk, nor did any of the other carers. I could see a man I knew was called Jamie up near the front, along with another called Ian, who was looking at his map. I had read plenty about Alzheimer's, but had never had the chance to talk to anyone at length about living with it. For some, it's a case of forgetting names or how to get home. For others, it can affect coordination. One lady was less mobile than the rest. When it came to styles, she couldn't always feel where her feet were or signal to her legs what to do next. Others gathered round to help, offering a hand or a gentle push from behind. One of the effects of any illness is that you're looked after and you lose the ability of being useful to other people, Linda said. All of us need to be useful to other people to feel good about our own existence. In this group, they all help each other out, and it's just beautiful to see. They walk for 5 or 6 hours and nearly always get lost, but finding their way again is part of the challenge. So Linda doesn't interfere. Being out walking is good for the members of the group, but it also gives their wife or husband a break from constant caring. Ian told me, everyone is very relaxed, and I like it that they don't do things for us that we can do for ourselves. In the outside world, he explained, every mistake you make affects your confidence because of the reaction of other people. When you can't park the car properly, it can make you feel that you're messing everything up. Here, you feel a sense of normality, he said. We had been walking for a couple of hours before we stopped for lunch. Everyone was starving and fell upon the heaps of food, sharing sandwiches, crisps, fruit and cheese as we sat on the side of a hill looking at the Vale of the White Horse. I could hear the faint hum of the motorway in the distance, and I had no idea where we were or where we were headed. After lunch, we followed the map as best we could, but ended up in the middle of a field with no obvious exit. One of the faster members of the group said he would walk to the far corner to see if there was a stile and a footpath sign. We watched him go and come back again some 15 minutes later. Was there a stile? I asked. A stile? He said. I have no idea. The others laughed, and then he said, did I go over there to see if there was a stile? Oh dear, that was a bad idea. I really can't remember whether there was or not. He didn't panic about not remembering. He just laughed because the others were laughing. It must be frustrating as hell not to be able to remember the most basic of things. But if you let that frustration take over, you are living in a double hell. Linda makes sure that everyone feels that whatever happens, it's just fine. Soon we had lost another walker together with her 25-year-old carer, but then we could hear hysterical laughter. I fell in a bush, said Sandy, emerging from the hedgerow. It was brilliant. It didn't matter that we were lost, because the group felt at home. And by home, I don't mean a house or a village, but a place where everyone can feel safe, loved, and most of all, relevant. It's amazing reading that because I haven't actually read it for a long time. And since I wrote it, my father has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. So it is, and is living with it, and indeed my mother is caring for him. And I think this period where the world has shrunk to people just living in their homes is fine actually for him. He's very happy because he always says he doesn't like people anyway. I keep joking with him that this was the perfect situation created for him. But for my mother, it's obviously very difficult because she's not able to get out and be stimulated by other people or see enough people or socialise. But that group was really uplifting, and it taught me a different way to think about early onset dementia and Alzheimer's, and also to realise the many benefits of walking. And with that in mind, I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I am off now for my daily walk. Stay safe, stay well, keep reading. Thank you.